2019 has seen some great DC animated films. Personally, I actually was quite fond of the Batman vs the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film, because it was actually a really good film. I mean, it actually sounds kind of stupid when you hear about the idea, but when you watch it, well, it's pretty good, and I'd have to say it was probably the best DC animated film of 2019. Next to the Justice League The Fatal Five, of course. Although to be fair, when I'm making this video, Wonder Woman Bloodlines has yet to be released, so that may end up being better. But anyway, 2020 is shaping up to be a pretty good year as well, and we've already had some of DC's animated films announced, and this video is going to go over them. First to be released in 2020 is Superman Red Son, which was an Elseworld story written by Mark Miller, and it explores the idea of what if Superman's rocket had landed in Russia instead of America. And as such, Superman is raised to become a communist, and eventually ends up ruling Russia as a kind of dictator, while Lex Luthor rises to become President of America, and the two frequently battle one another, and are kinda sorta at war with one another. Now, this story was actually adapted into a 12-part motion comic book series, and I'm a pretty big fan of it, so in some respects, I don't think it actually needs a new film to be made. But to be fair, although the motion comic is quite entertaining, it is of a very poor quality, and so it would be good to see a better, bigger budget version being made, because the animation would look a lot smoother. Now, as I said, the story is an Elseworld story, so the film is standalone and completely separate from all other continuities. And incidentally, this story was actually the inspiration for a Justice League action episode, where Mixia Spitalik turned Superman Russian. And for the 4th season of Supergirl, there is actually a clone of Supergirl who is trained by Russia and essentially becomes an evil Russian version of her, so that was also inspired by this story. And to be honest, the Supergirl one is actually kind of as silly as it sounds, but I did think it was worth a mention. Next we have Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. Now, personally, I think that the first Justice League Dark film was one of the best films to come out of the New 52 continuity, so I'm very excited to see a sequel is being made. Now, sadly, very few details have been released. Well, nearly no details to be fair. All we know for sure is that it is the second film being released in 2020 from DC's animation, and that it is a direct sequel from the first one. We don't even know who the cast is going to be, though it's a pretty solid bet that the cast will include Constantine and Zatanna, and of course Deadman, as they're pretty much the stars of the series. It could also quite possibly include Batman, as he does seem to be in nearly all of the New 52 animated films. And of course, since it's called Apocalypse War, it'll no doubt include Darkseid and his supervillain army, and quite possibly the new gods of New Genesis. And it may also feature the Justice League, as the film Reign of the Supermen ended with the Justice League basically announcing plans to attack Darkseid, and Lex Luthor joined the team to help with this assault, so he might be in the Justice League Dark film as well, which could actually be very entertaining. And so this may either be the next film in the New 52 that leads to the eventual confrontation between the Justice League and Darkseid, or it may just be the League attacking him outright. After all, Darkseid doesn't usually have a huge abundance of magic on hand, so going to war with a bunch of wizards, witches and magical creatures, well, that may actually be a bit of a weak point for him. And the last DC animated film is Superman Man of Tomorrow. Now, like Justice League Dark, there aren't many details, but we do know that it's an original story, and it's going to focus on Clark Kent's early days as Superman. And personally, I would like them to adapt the Superman American Alien comic book series, which shows Superman growing up to become the hero he is, and dealing with the problems of being an alien on Earth. To be fair, he basically just deals with all the problems the rest of us did growing up, but he deals with a lot of extra ones because, well, he doesn't know who he is, or what he is, or where he comes from, and he doesn't really have anyone to give him the answers. And it's actually a great read, and I fully recommend it if you haven't read it, but I really do hope they pull inspiration from it to make this film, because it would be very entertaining. And all three of these films are of course being made by DC Animation, and will be released on their streaming service as well as DVD. And though they are the only ones that have been announced, there are usually other films released in conjuncture with other companies, so keep your eyes open for those. There'll also probably be a Lego movie released, because they usually release at least one DC Lego direct-to-DVD film each year, as they love to do a Lego DC movie so they can sell some Lego DC toys. And there are also several animated shorts that are set to be released. Bruce Timm is producing and directing one called The Phantom Stranger, a short film that's set in the 1970s, in which a young adult named Jess and her friends go to a party at a mansion, when basically weird stuff starts happening and the Phantom Stranger has to turn up and save them. And there is another one called Adam Strange, a short which of course stars Adam Strange, as he saves a mining company from alien insects. And the short also is going to show his origin in the form of flashbacks. And there is also Death, which stars a mysterious girl helping a man named Vincent overcome his inner demons and his own death. And finally, there are plans to adapt the Batman Death in the Family story as a short film. Though personally, I think this story would need a feature-length film to tell it properly. But sadly, I don't run DC's animation department, so a short is all we're probably going to get. Though this short is only planned at the moment, so it is possible they'll change their mind and not make it, but hopefully it will be here in 2020. And that is all of the films that we have had announced so far for 2020, though as I said, there may be others announced in the future. But personally, I am most looking forward to the Justice League Dark sequel, as it just sounds like the best project that's been announced. But which one are you most excited for? And what other animated films do you want DC to make in the future? Be sure to let us know in the comments. And I'd just like to say a quick thank you to those who made this video possible by donating to the Needle Mouse Productions page on Patreon. And as always, thanks for watching, and feel free to subscribe, share, like, and comment.